What's going on, guys? You're watching Spectre Reacts. Now, first of all, sorry that we missed the last two episodes of What If, but we're back for the fourth one. What if Doctor Strange lost his heart instead of his hands? Let's get into it.
All right, so let's talk about episode 2 and 3 before we get into episode 4, because we did miss those. Episode 2 was, for, in my opinion, just like the standout, the absolute like best thing that this show has delivered so far. I think the whole concept of T'Challa being Star-Lord and just doing it better is like such a compelling storyline compared to like everything else that they've put out. It's just on a different level. It was more interesting, I'd say.
I love seeing the ripples of that divergence event uh, as far as the grander scope of the universe goes. I mean, Thanos is a good guy now, and boy, was he entertaining to watch, right?
Yeah. Thanos was one of the greatest things. I would say he's a little weaker, and they definitely like switched him and the Collector kind of
Yeah.
in that, which was weird, but I liked it. I think that was something that I'd wonder, like, what if someone else was Star Lord? Would the whole like dynamic of the universe have changed? And I guess so. If you just had a competent Star Lord, we might not have had all these like issues that we had in the normal Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yondu was also really entertaining to watch, right?
Oh, of course, Yondu's usually entertaining
Yeah,
to watch.
he was a highlight.
I also liked how it had a happier ending rather than the rest of these what if scenarios that all have like a really like depressing sort of ending.
Absolutely. Now, the third episode, the ending was actually the strong part, even though it wasn't necessarily a happy ending for the majority of the world's
Yeah.
population, right? Because Loki's ruling them, which is great for him, fun to watch, but I don't know about how that's going to
Yeah,
play
not
out.
not so great for everybody else. I didn't like how they had the villain be the yellow jacket version of basically Hank Pym. Like I guess it makes sense that he could have done what he had done, but like I feel like it was just so weak that there wasn't a real reason for him to have done it. Like that he at the end his whole motivation was that his daughter died obviously by being an agent of Shield, but at the same time like he didn't have to do all of that to get Fury's attention. I think the same could have been resolved with some really basic stuff. Like he could have written a letter. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Like, why didn't the show show us how Michael Douglas's Hank Pym got from being a overall pretty nice dude in the movies, at least, to a serial killer? Like, you can't just
Yeah,
give us a
yeah,
reason
yeah.
like his daughter died. There has to be more behind that, right? Some inherent darkness that we didn't get to see in the movies.
And I understand that. I mean, there is a little bit of it in the first Ant Man, but it's not fleshed out enough for us to see that. And I do understand that they wanted to keep the mystery going, so that's why they didn't want to like go crazy and just show like Hank Pym and his depressing moments and spoil the whole surprise, which was kind of a surprise. I kind of predicted it, but at the same time, like it was definitely shocking to some degree. I do think they could have shown like a little bit of flashbacks right after the reveal, right?
Exactly. Like, it's not that I didn't buy it. I just wanted to see how he got to that point on screen rather than, as a sort of fill in the blank type of thing.
Yeah, definitely. But anyways, I will also say that just I think these episode time limits, like I know me and you were talking about this like off like this, but time limit is not doing this any favors.
Completely agree. I think that comes into mind with the fourth episode, which, in my opinion, should have been a two-episode kind of thing. You feel me?
100%. It would have, the fourth episode was so rushed. Even though it was good like visually, I do have some complaints, but either way, like it's so quick that you don't really get to flesh out the story as much as you would have liked. I would have appreciated a few two-parters every now and then.
100%. I did like the visual style a lot. I like the temple and I like the fight with, the Strange versus Evil Strange. But the story, in many aspects, and no, in no small part due to its contrivances, really fell flat to me.
And I'll bring it back to like some of the original amazing superhero cartoons. Like a lot of Marvel fans might not like that I use this example, but the original like Justice League cartoon from like way back when, they had two-parters almost every week, so like you would never feel like the story was too short. And even in an Avengers cartoon such as EMH, they had like two or three parters at times when the story was really, they didn't want to rush it, so they put two or three episodes with just that one story continuous. So that they have the budget for it. We know that it's Disney, so like why wouldn't they go with it?
Yeah, same thing with like Clone Wars versus Bad Batch, right? Clone Wars had a bunch of these episode arcs, which a lot of the fans were fans of, and Bad Batch really did away with those arcs, which I know upset a lot of people.
Yeah, Bad Batch went side quest, side quest, side quest, and I was trying to tell them to go back to story mode in the nicest way possible, but
Definitely should have gone back to story mode.
yeah, they never did. So I think this is suffering from the same problem. Like this needed two parts to really flesh out evil Strange and good Strange.
Exactly. And also, let's talk about the animation a little bit, right? Really, really flat faces, and there's just so much less expressiveness than even 2D animation, which I find appalling.
Yeah, no, notice how like the best ones the best cartoons from these guys that we've seen so far from either like any superhero thing have been 2D, just because
Exactly.
it's so much stronger like in emotion wise. Like you get to see so much more. It's just kind of boring when you see these guys.
There's a disconnect between what you see the voice actors convey and what you see on their faces, which to me it breaks the immersion.
Like let's use this example right here. No, 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 no. He's like, no, 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 in like a sing-songy way, and we're just not seeing anything worth. Like we're not seeing anything on his face. Like it's one of the worst no's that I've ever seen. Like he's really, I can tell that like Benedict Cumberbatch is in the studio like killing himself over this one, like giving the best acting he's ever given, and they have nothing they have nothing for him.
No, but the thing was, like episode one, the animation was actually kind of nice, and it just took a it took a dive since then.
I think even in episode one there were such like the punches from I think we mentioned this earlier as well. The punches from Captain Carter or Britain or whatever she was called.
Captain London.
Captain London, yeah, Captain Britain or whatever she was. But like those punches were horrendous, horrendous punches.
Dude, I mean, maybe Jake Paul versus Captain Carter is coming soon at this point.
Maybe, and I think he would win, which is like terrifying because those punches were so dry. Like there's nothing there. Like Jesus.
Yeah. So, anyways, the animation style aside, the direction of these episodes generally seems to be all right, but the writing is an issue for both of us, don't you think?
I think the writing is the biggest issue because they're like I my biggest pet peeve is when you see like something could be solved and then they just ignore it like it couldn't have even been tried. Like you know how there's like the apple thing, right? They always show that, and they even showed that in this. Like he can just turn back time, and so the chewed apple goes from completely chewed to partially chewed to full. Why didn't they just do that with what was her name, Christine? Christine's body. Like why didn't they just do that to
Yeah.
Christine, or at least try?
I mean, it's not even that hard, right? For at least for the writing team, it's literally watch two movies and maybe extrapolate some powers that Strange was using in the movies to the show.
Or watch the beginning scenes that you have your team do,
Exactly. I don't know what the hell the writers were thinking. Why would you go back in time?
and at least attempt it. You know what I'm saying? Like at least attempt it and fail, and then go forward.
This is what I meant by like plot contrivances. You know?
Yeah. It's kind of ridiculous to me that like these guys aren't thinking, and I feel like it has a lot to do with the writing and direction. And I think we know who wasn't there. Like the second episode was written by somebody else.
The episodes that you and I enjoyed seem to be written by one Matthew Chauncey. So, Mr. Chauncey, keep it up. But unfortunately, a lot of the episodes that we didn't like were written by A.C. Bradley. And the third one, which I thought was, I mean, pretty mediocre, was written by both of them. So, I do think A.C. Bradley might be to blame for the lesser quality episodes, which to me it's surprising because she's done some pretty critically acclaimed movies.
Yeah, what's on our catalog? Like I know there was one thing that was hugely critically acclaimed.
Yeah, Troll Hunters Tales of Arcadia was critically acclaimed, so I hear.
So
So
yeah, I
that,
don't know why that
yeah.
energy isn't being put into this, but for some reason it's not. And
And it's
I hope
animation too, which is even more surprising, right?
yeah, I hope she gets on that immediately.
I really hope they ramp it up. And let's talk about the concept a little bit and also some teases for season two. Now, originally, the team was tempted to put in characters from other franchises, and by other franchises, I mean Star Wars. They were going to bring Luke Skywalker into the show, and the big heads of the MCU said, nah, you can't do that. But if there's enough interest, you might be able to bring Luke in for season 2. What do you think about that?
Which is it's sort of ridiculous to me that they decided to go against that because like why not? You have a scenario where you could do anything and they would show up. Like one of my favorite things growing up was House of Mouse,
Me too.
and literally it had yeah, like literally it had just so like you'd see Mickey Mouse and like Pooh Bear and like Simba all together, and it would be awesome.
And House of Mouse was brought to us by none other than Disney, who was releasing the show. So I mean,
And who is now declining this idea?
yeah, let's make a Marvel metaverse. I mean, say what you want about Fortnite, but that's one of the things they do well, right? Combining characters from different franchises.
Yeah, they have a really strong, like base on that. They're like they've combined everything. So I can now, as much as people don't like the game nowadays, but like I think they put Superman in it
Yeah,
this time. Like I think I could literally get Superman and shoot somebody like who's dressed as Iron Man. Like it would be awesome to do that, and it is, which is why it's succeeding to this day.
exactly. Now, how cool would it have been to have like everybody versus Mickey as a what if
Right,
scenario,
right, right.
right?
It's just Sorcerer Mickey versus Doctor Strange would have been much more interesting.
Do you think they're gonna step their quality up for season 2? I really hope so.
I don't know, but I all I know is that haven't they had season two since like 2019?
Yeah, so they made a really premature decision by renewing the show for season. Yeah, they renewed it in 2019, December 2019.
Yeah, I remember you texted me that, and I was just like, that is like, I wouldn't call it arrogance because of how much of a Marvel head I am and like how much I like love it. So I won't use that term, but it is very, very like it shows.
Hasty, right?
Yeah, it shows that they kind of have belief that the fans will eat what they feed them.
Yeah, consume and don't question, right? That's what they say.
Yeah, I don't know why they would decide to do that, but I guess maybe they have more planned. I think they could have just. My only complaint is that they could have gone with more interesting what if scenarios that are more related to the movies that I would have cared about more.
Exactly. Like I have a bit of an issue with the title actually. Like what if, and then they just spoil the change, right?
Right, right, right. They maybe like if they had sort of like dropped hints in the titles instead of that, that would have been more interesting to me.
Exactly.
And not only that, what if they had just made like more interesting like concepts? Like I can come up with a few off, off the top. Like what if Iron Man went up against real Mandarin rather than Trevor Slattery in Iron Man 3?
Yeah, another cool scenario was that I was thinking of was what if Black Widow stayed in the Red Room forever? I think this show suffers from simply changing elements of the continuity that have nothing to do with what fans' perceptions are. And I mean, how cool would it have been if they honestly showed us futures that would have actually been the true MCU reality were it not for some Deus Ex Machina in the movies,
Yeah,
right?
right. Like what if Thanos won in Endgame? What if, Howard Stark never died and Bucky had never survived the fall and been captured by Hydra? What if Howard Stark never died? Would Tony Stark still have become Iron Man? Would Howard Stark have become Iron Man first? Like there's so many
Oh,
questions.
here's a good one. What if Howard Stark recognized Tony Stark as Tony Stark in Endgame?
Great, great question. That's a what if. That's a great scenario about what if. Like those things are things that we care about. Like there are certain, as you said, Deus Ex Machina that change the events of the entire MCU. And what if that didn't happen? Like that's the
What
ones
if
that.
On Your Left didn't happen, right?
Yeah. What if Hulk failed to snap his fingers? What if the Avengers never were formed in the first place and something else happened? Like who would be the other villains? What if Mephisto was actually behind all the events in WandaVision? Shout out to Eric Voss. Like what would have happened there?
Yeah, that's something that the fans have been clamoring for. I don't know if they're saving Mephisto for a debut in Doctor Strange 2, but I want to see him really badly. And I know you do as
Yeah,
well.
like that would be a great what if scenario. You got the budget, you can hire another voice actor, like get Mark Hamill for this. Mark Hamill would be a great
Yeah,
Mephisto.
or Chthon, right?
Yeah, or Chthon. Like, what if a deity was behind the events of WandaVision rather than Agatha all along, your number one song?
Yeah, I mean, from the looks of it, it doesn't seem like they are going to give us super mind blowing concepts anytime soon. I mean, we did see Gamora as the Mad Titan. That one I'm excited for, and also
Yeah, that was from the cover
Vision
art.
Ultron. But I'm not really sure how interesting those episodes will be after we watch them. I know the hype is there right now, but still.
And a good question is, are they ever going to finish the, you know, cliffhangers that they ended with? Like, for example, first episode. Not that I'm excited to see this one in the slightest, but Captain Britain did make it all the way. Captain Carter did make it all the way to the 21st century. Are we going to see something relating to that in the future, like another episode of that, or the episode 3 continuation? When is that going to happen? Is that planned for season 2?
Yeah, there are 9 episodes, so hopefully for the next 5 they step up their game. And by the way, just another quick call out: this show is suffering from what I like to call Bad Batch syndrome, which is putting too many damn monsters in the show for no reason.
Yeah, yeah. I think Mandalorian had that for a brief period of time as well, but yeah, oh jeez, they too many monsters. Like they had the whole tentacle thing. I think this episode didn't have that issue as much, but episode 1 definitely had this.
Exactly. There was just no reason to bring in that Hydra, and also like no reason for them to bring in a similarly tentacled beast in this episode.
Yeah, no idea what they're doing with that, but regardless, like let's see what these next 5 do, and we'll be here for those ones.
Absolutely. Let us know what if scenarios you'd like to see in the comments, as well as your theories and reaction to this episode. We'll be here responding to all of them. Until next time, see you guys.